What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. It's Tuesday, which means it is time for a tier list Tuesday. Every single Tuesday on the channel, we do a goddamn tier list. And I was going through different ideas when I stumbled upon the idea of doing tier listing every single NHL city, just the city. We are not looking at the overall state. For example, previously when I've done like city and like where I would want to play and where I wouldn't want to play, I've considered things like Newark for the Devils being close to like a Hoboken or a Jersey City, which is far nicer. You can live there and then commute in. I'm just looking at the city. Anaheim, for example, not the best city. Obviously, around Anaheim's pretty nice. So there's a myriad of factors that go into this. Your standard when grading how livable it is, country, city, all that. I'm a big climate guy in terms of I like to be warm. I do not like the cold that much. So sorry in advance to some of the Northeast, some of the Canadian kind of cities. But without further ado, let's dive into it. Up first, we got the Anaheim Ducks. I'm going to go, like, in terms of superior city, it's pretty bad. Anaheim is not where you want to be. I know most of the players don't live in Anaheim. I'm going to put it in Medj because the climate is pretty good. It might not be the best overall city, but at least you're not freezing your balls off year-round besides, like, 3 months. The Arizona Coyotes, solid. It's kind of perfect for the Arizona Coyotes because they're not there usually during the summer. Usually their season's over by mid-April. So you don't have to be there when it's like 120, but it does get far too hot in the Tempe, Phoenix area. So I think solid is about fair. Phoenix area is a pretty decent area overall. It's really grown a lot in the past like 20 or so years. It's a solid city, a little bit too hot, a little bit too much desert climate almost, but it is what it is. Boston Bruins. I'm not that big on Boston. I'm going to go meh. Just like a worse version of like New York City, in my opinion. There's not a ton to do in Boston. A little bit colder. People are kind of wild there. So I'm going to put it in meh. Bad. Buffalo Sabres. Buffalo, it's a great, passionate city. Would I want to live there? I have family up by Buffalo. It's too cold. Not a ton to do in Buffalo. Not a thriving urban or economic hub by any means. So I think it definitely is like in the bottom 10 cities in the NHL. Calgary, too cold, but I think the overall city is pretty decent. I wouldn't put it in bad. People always cite like that was like the fourth most livable city in the United States. Whenever I talk about Calgary, it's still too cold for me. Like, and there's not a ton to do in Calgary, but I think I gave it a bad rap to start with. Also, by the way, I've been to like 22, I think, out of the 32 cities. I've been to Buffalo. I've been to Boston. I've been to Anaheim. I've been to Phoenix area. I haven't been to Calgary though. Raleigh's solid, decent climate. I like North Carolina on the whole as a state, but like there's like nothing to do in Raleigh. Similarly, it's not close to like the beach or anything like that. So I'm going to put it in meh. Chicago, very unsafe city. Not going to dive into the crime statistics. I mean, if you're playing in the NHL, if you're making millions and you can afford some sick ass place, it's a solid city. Like deep dish pizza. I've been there before. I had a pretty solid experience with Chicago. Colorado, I think Colorado, Denver is a really cool city in my opinion. You got that mile high. It seems like a different place compared to other American cities. Obviously, if you live there, you're not too far away from skiing on the weekends and all that stuff. So I actually think Denver's a pretty good city. Columbus, I've been to Columbus before. Ohio State's there. It's very meh. It's not horrible. I wouldn't put it on the same level as a Buffalo. I wouldn't want to live in Columbus. Nah, I'm bumping it down. It's bad. It's not as bad as Buffalo, but I still think it's pretty bad. Dallas, I think Dallas is an elite city. I'm just going to say it. I had a friend that went to college in the Dallas area. I visited him like every single year there. I really like Dallas, obviously. Pretty solid climate in Texas. It actually did snow like last week, I think, there. But usually you're going to get fantastic weather there. I really like it. It's not just one big downtown. It's very open. There's a ton of space in the greater Dallas area. I like it a lot. Detroit, downtown. Detroit's kind of beat up. Not gonna lie. Detroit, I wouldn't want to be living in Detroit. The suburbs is cool. There's a lot of cool suburbs once you go like 40, 50 minutes out of the city. But the overall city, it's not that ideal. Edmonton's probably in bad too. I initially like a year ago put Edmonton ahead of Calgary. People shat on me nonstop. I looked deeper into it. Edmonton is kind of like a worse version of Calgary. I'll give respect to that rivalry. I'll tip the cap to Calgary in terms of being a better city. Sunrise, Florida. Sunrise, Florida is where the Florida Panthers play. I'm a South Florida guy. I'm literally wearing my University of Miami shirt right now. Sunrise isn't the most popping city because it's like a town. They don't play in like a downtown city. But overall, South Florida, my opinion, best region in the entire United States. I absolutely love it. Again, going with Texas, no state income tax. Great place. Love Florida. South Florida. I love South Florida. Central Florida, North Florida, not very cool. But South Florida is dope. LA Kings. LA, I'm going to go solid. It's definitely above goddamn Anaheim. I'm going to go solid. I'm not too high on LA. I've visited a couple times. It has its perks. It's definitely a cool city. Nah, I'm going to go good. LA, I could live in LA, definitely. Minnesota, too cold. It's cool. I love the hockey culture there. Obviously is the hockey state, but not too high in Minnesota. Montreal, just the French. I don't know if I could live there. All speaking French, all that stuff. I had it low. I did like Canadian province territory. I'm not too high on Quebec. I did have a good time when I visited Montreal for the 2022 NHL draft, but not too big of a fan. Nashville, this might be a hot take, but Nashville I think is overrated after going for the 2023 draft. It's just one strip. It's Broadway. That's it. That's all it is. It's a actually, I'm going to bump it down. It's a fantastic place to go with your boys, get blackout drunk for 48 hours, boys trip, fantastic, bachelor party, bachelorette party. But in terms of an actual, like, living there, I couldn't do it. I definitely could not do it. If you love country music, I do like country music a lot. I could see it being fun. But actually living there 365 days a year, that's a little too harsh. It shouldn't be in the same... I don't know. Not for me. New Jersey, Newark. Newark is kind of a dump, I'm going to be honest. The places around Newark, very cool. Bergen County, Jersey City, Hoboken. Like, the players don't live in, like, downtown Newark. They don't, like, get out of their apartment, walk across the street. They live in far nicer places. But if I'm just looking at Newark, it's kind of a shithole. Islanders. It's tough with this because they just play somewhere on Long Island. They play at Elmont. So in looking at that with the New York Islanders at UBS Arena, it's not like it's like a downtown center, but Long Island on the whole is fantastic. Great public school education. And Long Island's cool. Beaches everywhere. Very good food. Fantastic Italian food. Fantastic everything food. Long Island is dope. New York, I'm not the biggest New York City person. I'm going to be honest. I think it's far too congested, but it's definitely still a good city. I prefer like a Dallas or a South Florida, more open, but I still respect New York. There's a metric shit ton of stuff to do in New York. You're never going to get bored. For me, it's just a little bit too much stuff, like too much, everything going crazy. I'm more of a laid back guy, even though I talk 9,000 words per minute. I'm not too high on New York. Ottawa, I've been there before. Not a ton to do. Nation's capital. That's cool to check out. But besides that, it's in bad. Philadelphia, I think Philadelphia gets shit on way too much. Downtown Philly, not the safest place on earth, but I still think it is a pretty cool place. It's rich with history, American history, and I've always liked it. Very passionate, down-to-earth people. I like Philadelphia. I will defend Philadelphia on most accounts of everything. Pittsburgh's meh. I wouldn't put it in bad. It has a cool little downtown with those like the rivers. So many. I think it has the most bridges in America. Like it's a cool city. PNC Park's dope, but definitely not like a top tier city by any means. San Jose, I'll go solid. Tech Valley. It's not like San Francisco, Oakland. It's more farther out in San Jose. I think San Jose, personally, I definitely like more than goddamn Oakland. San Francisco, probably. So I think San Jose is a cool place. Has pretty solid weather. Seattle, I like Seattle. I've been to Seattle, the Northwest. It doesn't really snow there. You just get a shit ton of rain. But I like Seattle's overall vibe. I could live there. St. Louis, bad. St. Louis is a bad city. Not a ton to do there. Not very safe. I am low on St. Louis. I don't think that's a hot take. Tampa, I really like. I think Tampa's on the come up in terms of overall cities. Again, I'm a big Florida guy. Tampa and Miami, South Florida, I absolutely love. Tampa's a lot more low key than a South Florida Miami type. So it's a bussin' place as of right now, and I think it's a very good city. Toronto, I'll go solid. I've been there. I went there in 2019 for the Raptors championship parade just on a whim. It was very cool. I got to go back soon. I wouldn't say I loved it, but it's solid. Vancouver, I really like Vancouver. I'm going to put it in great. Been there before. Fantastic city, in my opinion. It offers everything. You can find nature just outside of the city. The downtown is very cool. I know it's expensive as hell, but it's expensive as hell for a reason. It's a really cool city. Vegas, I'm going to put in solid. Similarly to Nashville, I don't know how, like, if we're talking like downtown Vegas and all, like, I couldn't imagine living there. Like, this is more of a vacation spot. The suburbs in Vegas are pretty cool, but also it's hot as balls there, so it's solid. It's slightly better than in Nashville. Washington, I think it's cool. I'm a big history guy. Nation's capital. It's definitely seen better days, but I still think it is a pretty solid city. And then lastly, Winnipeg. This is going to get people pissed, but I like Winnipeg. I've been there. I like it. It's very down to earth. Not a shit ton to do, but just I like it. I know I'm going to get crap for that, but I like Winnipeg, and this is the final tier list. This was an interesting one, just me riffing on different NHL cities. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about this? Back to your NHL actual on-ice talk tomorrow. Just wanted to have some fun, tier list some cities, and I'll be seeing you in the next one.